Welcome to Crawlspace. I'm Tim here today with Lance. Lance, how's it going today?
It couldn't be better, Tim. I'm very excited about this episode. How are you today, first of all?
First of all, I am exceptional today, and I agree with you. This episode is something we've been looking forward to for a long time. Really, since we saw the Twitter account on Twitter. There's a Twitter account, a fellow named Guido Finelli, who runs a Twitter account that is called what?
He's got something called Rent-A-Hitman. His website is Rent-A-Hitman, all one word.com. Basically, it proclaims if you got a problem that needs resolving, he can assign a field operative to remedy whatever bad situation you might be in that you need to get out of.
And you are talking about actual hits like murder plots, murder for hire plots. And you can find Mr. Guido Finelli on Twitter at Rent-A-Hitman, and just like his site. But Lance, there's a twist here. It's he's not actually going to kill anybody. But he is going to put you in touch with somebody, isn't he?
He will put you in touch with the field operatives. He's got about 17,985 field operatives that operate in the United States. And coincidentally, that number is also the same number of police departments in the United States. And Guido's story is amazing, how he stumbled into this. It's so unbelievable. It makes you laugh and it makes you cringe at the same time.
Right, and so his real name is Bob, and he is a great guy who is doing something that we can really only we strive to do. I mean, he is saving people's lives with a website, Lance.
And he loves saying that this $9 website has saved hundreds of lives, and rightfully so. He should be saying that. He should be bragging about it. It saved the lives of leaders of countries. It saved the lives of students who were under threat of a school shooting. He saved the lives of small children who were being kidnapped. And this is somebody who is just a regular dude who accidentally started to do this and then realized the impact.
It's so simple and brilliant, Lance, and we love it so much. And so you can check out the website. Again, it's rentahitman.com. There is a sense of humor there, but you can donate to his cause. So please, if you have any spare cash hanging around, do that because, again, his cause is saving lives.
You're right, Tim. He does not do this for money. He does it out of the goodness of his heart. He does not get paid, so feel free to donate on his website. And like he says, throw him a bone. He needs some coffee cash.
Okay, and this one's going to be broken up into two parts. So this is part one, and come back in a couple days for part two. You really don't want to miss this. This is one of the most interesting conversations I think we've ever had on Crawlspace. Laura S. from Arizona says, caught my husband cheating with the babysitter and our relationship was terminated after a free public relations consultation. I'm single again and looking to mingle. Thanks, Guido.
Tim, you are reading from the website rentahitman.com, and I just want to say Phil M. from Florida also says Guido and his public relations crew were able to resolve a 5-year dispute in a matter of days. Highly recommended with an exclamation point.
Guido, what are we talking about?
This is a website called Rent-A-Hitman.com, your point-and-click solution. And it's not what you think it is.
Okay, but you are Guido that these testimonials are talking about?
I would be the Guido Finelli they're referring to.
Guido Finelli. That last name Finelli sounds like it has a very rich lineage.
It's a family name.
I feel like it goes back several generations into the Sicilian heritage, maybe.
You may be correct.
Well, this is all very mysterious. It says your point-and-click solution since 1920.
It's been a family business for a lot of years.
So tell us about the family business. Obviously, we are talking about your website, rentahitman.com. And what is this website?
So rentahitman.com started out as an IT project when I was attending school. I was enrolled in a business college in Northern California, studying information technology with an emphasis on security. And one of the courses was a network penetration testing course, risk analysis, and that kind of thing. Several of my classmates and myself, we decided we wanted to start a post-graduation business. And at the time, I was flipping domains, and I had an account with GoDaddy. And I ended up purchasing this domain as a play on words. Rent, as in hire us, hit, pertaining to web hit or visitor traffic. And men, there were 4 of us. And so that's how this whole thing came to be back in 2005.
You just said network penetration. What is network penetration? I'm just curious.
It's penetration testing for home networks, businesses. We would basically try and break into your network, tell you what the vulnerabilities are, and work with you to tighten it up. And it's not like we went around to just random businesses and did this. We would obviously consult with them. They had security concerns, and we were able to, or we would be able to, work with them and tighten up their issues.
Is that something that you still do today?
No, I've kind of drifted away from that. I did go into computer forensics and data recovery for a while, for a decade, and I'm doing something completely different now.
This website, Rent-A-Hitman.com, so you started it with 4 friends years ago, and the purpose of it was just to get hits on the internet?
Well, again, we were going to start it was a domain used for a startup business. And that just happened to be the domain, play on words. And unfortunately, business plans never came to fruition. And I was left holding the domain name. And then right around 2008, I went in. Actually, let me just back up a little bit. After the business plans didn't come together, I put a splash page on the domain that said, this website is for sale, contact at Rent-A-Hitman.com. So the email address was now on the webpage. Now, fast forward 3 years, 2008, I go in and check the email, and I am just absolutely shocked at the number of emails from people around the world seeking to cause harm to others. They're inquiring about asset extraction, how much for services in these countries, are you hiring? And there was even a lady who was looking for a date. She wanted to marry a hitman and learn the trade, basically. I couldn't help her there.
And these people weren't looking for web hits.
No, in fact, it was a complete 180 from that.
Okay, so this was 4 years of backed up emails?
Yeah, I had a catch-all email account. Now, occasionally, I would use the email address when you go into like a Chevy's or someplace and drop your business card in the jar. They give you like a happy hour meal or whatever, and that's basically what I was using the domain for at that point.
Were there any emails about domain hits or anything pertaining to what the original intent was?
No, because I hadn't really advertised it as that. In fact, I didn't advertise it for that purpose. Again, these are emails from people who have organically searched the internet on how to hire a hitman. They would see the website, see the email address, and then subsequently send an email.
Did you think this was a joke at first?
Nobody could be that stupid to hire a hitman online, right, guys?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, how many? I'm sorry to interrupt. How many emails were there?
Anywhere between 250 to 300 emails at first, and they were typically one-liner emails. Again, do you service these countries? I have a problem. I need asset extraction. How much for this? Are you hiring? Hey, I'm looking for a date. It was interesting.
These emails came in, and what did you do? What was the first thing you did when you saw these emails?
So the first thing I did is basically took a step back. I thought, man, what have I got myself into? Didn't really do anything with it in 2008. I just kind of put it on the back burner. I didn't know how to respond. In 2010, I go in. I actually receive an email from a woman in Canada who was from the UK, stranded in Canada. This is the incident or the email that really started the whole process. She indicated she was from the UK, stranded in Canada. She wanted to have 3 people murdered, family members, because they had stolen her inheritance. She provided names, addresses, and all of the corroborating information that you would need, basically, to look it up. I didn't respond to her first email. Several hours later, she sends a second email. It's got more information, more identifiable and more information that could be corroborated. At that point, I sent her an email. I asked 2 very simple questions. Do you still require our services? And would you like me to put you in contact with the field operative? Within 30 minutes, she responded back, said, yes, this is the hostel that I'm staying at in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. She provided the phone number of the place, basically her description, and she wanted to meet with the field operative. Granted, she gave me the permission to put her in contact with the field operative. So,
real quick question. At any time during your conversation via email, in writing, did you mention the words kill or assassinate? And was she saying the words kill or assassinate, murder, eliminate?
Yeah, and let's be very clear on this. Nowhere in any of my correspondence with anybody to date have I mentioned the words murder, kidnap, anything of that nature. That would change me from state's witness to co-conspirator. That's a road I'm not going down. So there is no language of those actions or activities or services mentioned anywhere on the website. It is completely up to the solicitor to come to their own conclusion and mention what services they want and how they want it done.
So they think when you're saying something like field operative, or you're saying our services, they're essentially thinking, okay, he's doing a little code on me. Field operative is a hitman, and our services is a hit, and they're none the wiser. That's, of course, I've seen so many mob movies. That's exactly how they talk.
I guess what kind of wins people's trust over with the website is the fact that it is 100% HIPAA compliant with the Hitman Information Privacy and Protection Act. So now when people go to the website and they see the web form that they can fill out again in their very own words as to the who, what, why, when, where, they can feel confident that the site is it's HIPAA compliant, that their information is obviously going to be safe and secure.
But wait. Is this the HIPAA?
Well, it's not the medical HIPAA. The medical HIPAA that you're talking about is the Health Information Portability and Accountability Act of, I think it's 1996. Again, this is the Hitman Information Privacy and Protection Act of 1964. It doesn't exist, guys.
What?
What you're saying here with this website, and please stop me if I'm wrong, but what it seems like you're saying is this website is a little bit of a trap for dumb criminals.
I wouldn't say it's a trap at all. I
Okay.
think these people, they're searching the internet on how to communicate with the hitman. They are hell-bent on causing harm, injury, death to other people. They see the website, Rent-A-Hitman. They fill out the web form on their own accord. There's no strings being pulled here at all. They submit the information, and I just simply respond and ask them if they still require our services. So I am in no way luring or entrapping these people. In fact, it's not entrapment because I'm not a public official, law enforcement. These people are just filling the information out on their own accord. And, again, I do get their permission before putting them into contact with the field operative.
Now, you mentioned these field operatives. I'm a little confused because if you don't have hitmen at your disposal, then who are the over 17,985 field operatives that are at your service?
It's a good question. Coincidentally, that number is the same number of police departments in the U.S. in 2016. So, yeah.
Well, this is a brilliant site, Bob. Yeah, and I imagine you're having real success with this.
It has prevented 141 murders to death. To death. It's prevented 141 murders to date. It's prevented some political assassinations. It's prevented an infant kidnapping and trafficking. It's prevented school shootings, multiple school shootings. Obviously it's prevented and stopped some pretty heinous crimes along the way from people that, again, are hell-bent on causing harm and injury to others. And if you ask me, in my opinion, that's not too bad for a $9.20 website.
Okay, so that is not too bad to have prevented so many deaths and so many crimes from occurring. The example that you had mentioned a few minutes ago, this woman who had tried to solicit your services, she was about to meet with one of your field operatives. This was the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, was this the first time that you had put all of these gears into motion and someone was about to be arrested for this? And where do we stand now with this?
Okay, so yes, this was the first email that kind of really started the whole process. And basically, I went to my local agency and I met with a friend who at the time was a sergeant with the department. I explained the situation to him, and I simply just requested that somebody in Canada do a welfare check on this person and make sure she's okay. When the Canadian authorities met with her at the hostel that she was staying at, they had determined that she was wanted fugitive out of the UK. She was wanted on Scotland Yard warrants, extraditable warrants. So for more serious offenses, whatever they are. She was then taken into custody. She spent 126 days in Canadian jail before being extradited back, where she ultimately pled guilty to whatever those charges were. I can say that the 3 people that she wanted taken out are still alive and well. And thankfully, I received the email rather than somebody else, because things could have ended up a little differently.
Wow. So have you had to testify in court because of this?
Never, ever had to testify in court. I've never been subpoenaed up until this Wendy Wine case in Michigan. Even that testimony, or my testimony there, is probably not needed based on the overwhelming evidence in this particular case.
How did this person come to your world?
Well, this person submitted first an email, and then I redirected her to the web form so that she could fill it out completely, which she did. She subsequently sent a couple more emails in following up. And when asked again if she wanted to meet with a field operative, and she still required our services, she said yes. The information was then referred to the jurisdiction in Michigan where she was living at the time, And the Michigan State Police actually set up a sting and ended up making an arrest the following day. She had traveled to a location to meet with a field operative, and apparently she had more than enough money in her possession to seal the deal. And the rest is history at this point.
Okay, that's interesting. She had more than enough money to seal the deal. So at some point, there was talk of money between you and her?
No, between herself and the field operative, the detective with the Michigan State Police.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
She actually came to the meeting in a parking lot in South Rockwood, Illinois, or Michigan, I believe. She had $5,000 cash, and she had traveling money because her target was in another state. So she wanted to make sure that the deal would get done.
Well, I mean, the local law enforcement must have just awarded you the key to the city. They must have given you a honorary deputy. they must have deputized you, honorary deputy.
No, not yet. No, I'm just kidding. No, in fact, the detective that I spoke with Michigan State Police made a comment. He said, these cases normally take 30 days or more to work. You had all of the elements met within a day. They ended up taking her into custody within about 17 hours of me turning the information over. So, yeah.
Now, is this something that law enforcement has ever approached you with and said, are you able to work with us on this, or do they let you operate independently of them?
They didn't knock on my door. I knocked on their door, and I actually have met with the several agencies, FBI and state and local, and they didn't really know how to deal with this. At first they didn't really have any idea that something like this is so prolific. I mean, that there's so many people out there trying to contact the hitman through these channels. So it was a little bit of an eye-opening experience for them.
Do you think that maybe they looked at it and they just were very frustrated that something so simple was at play here, and they were like, what, that's all it took?
I don't really want to speculate. I think they were
speculate.
Yeah. I think in my opinion, yeah, there was probably a little bit of that something so simple could be so effective. But also, you got to look at the big picture here. This website has been seen in over 160 countries at this point. It has had an international presence going back to as early as 2017, 2016, when there was a video in the Pacific Rim, Indonesia, Malaysia, whatever, that was doing an expose on the dark web. And they had actually mentioned my website by name. And they got it confused because I'm not on the dark web. I'm on the World Wide Web, securely hosted by GoDaddy, by the way. The site was inundated with requests for services in Indonesia and Malaysia. Several of those, by the way, were requesting the assassination of their president, Joko Widodo. I did take that information to the State Department. State Department didn't want to deal with it. I then took the information to the Indonesian consulate. They dealt with it. Apparently the site is unreachable by people in Indonesia at this point. I think it's been taken off the grid there. So, but I couldn't really tell you as far as no disposition on any of those cases.
Okay. So what was the thinking there? They blocked it because they thought it was real, or what happened?
I never really got an answer, to be honest with you. Never really got an answer from anybody in Indonesia or at the consulate about any of the follow-up. It's very hard to reach somebody and get an answer, at a consulate anyway. But I knew in my heart there were people's lives endangered. I knew that the State Department wasn't willing to do anything. I even contacted the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta, of all places, to kind of see if I can meet with or communicate with a law enforcement liaison there. And it kind of fell on deaf ears. We exchanged emails a couple times with somebody there, but that was really it. So
is the person in question, the potential victim of the assassination, still alive?
Still president.
So the president of Indonesia is still president, still alive and well.
Still alive and well.
I think that's your answer right there. I think you thwarted a presidential assassination overseas.
There were multiple requests for his assassination, by the way. So it wasn't just from one party, but
to you?
To the website, yes. Several people wanted that president.
I mean, this president needs to reach out to you, and he owes you his life.
Or a key to the city. How's that?
At least some merch, for God's sake.
At least some merch. At least some, I don't know, like a HelloFresh subscription or something.
That would be helpful at this point.
Have you had conversations with law enforcement and they just kind of like are amused by the existence of your site? And obviously there's no denying its helpfulness, but
yes, I want to say it's kind of comical when I reach out to a police department or an investigative body or whatever and kind of say, hey, I have a murder for hire case that we should talk about. And when I try to explain the website, how it came to be, and kind of fill them in on the backstory, I get the sense that they're like, yeah, who's pranking you? Somebody in the office is pranking, who's putting you up to this? And then when I send them a document of the communications, the email, the web form, and whatnot, that's when they take it seriously. That's what this detective in Michigan did. He took it seriously. The moment he received that information, it was game on, and he realized it. There was a serious, imminent threat to somebody's life. So it does take a little grease in the wheel to get it done. Other times there have been incidents where I've reported that you kind of feel that, this one's going in the circular bin, circular file. They're not going to do anything.
That's interesting. The police officer, the investigator in Michigan, do you still keep in touch with him? And does he kind of vouch for you to other law enforcement agencies? Like, hey, you got to listen to this guy. This is what happened over here.
I have asked for a letter and some kind of communications. And he said that when he got back from his vacation, we would talk about it. But I'm a one-man show here. And it would be nice if there was some kind of, I'm not looking for any kind of accommodation or anything like that, just something so that I can put on my resume, for example.
Well, I mean, like, we hear all the time about how the police and law enforcement are so understaffed, and they're not able to do their jobs, and cases fall down the ladder, and they got to always pay attention to the new cases coming in, but those new cases become cold cases in like 2 days. And then you have someone like this, like yourself, who has a website, and you aren't soliciting this. You have a website out, and you are just taking the information that you're literally giving them every option to opt out. You're giving them every opportunity to say, you know what, I'm rethinking this. And if
I don't need this service, I was kidding. It's a hoax.
It's going too far. It's a hoax. but they still keep pushing. It's like they want to get caught. You are literally the line right before the police. It's really surprising to me that an investigator wouldn't simply draft up a template email that he could send to one of the law enforcement agencies that you're trying to convince and say, listen, this guy's legit. This is what happened over here. It seems so simple to me. And you said that they told you what would take them how long to solve something? You got done in like 17 hours?
It would take 30 days or more for them to perform an investigation and to gather all of the evidence and the incriminating emails and whatnot, for a murder for hire case.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, forget it then. It seems like it's too much work, so
right.
Forget about it.
What's 28 days amongst, insane criminals?
And the fact that there are people out there, again, filling this information out on their own accord. I'm not holding a gun to their head and telling them to fill it out. They're putting their own information out there as to what it is they want done. And again, I'm just playing the matchmaker at this point. You want a field operative? I'll get you a field operative.
Man, I feel like if there's any law enforcement listening, especially the investigator that we're speaking of, I really wish that they would just take the time to write, 3 sentences in a template email that could just be sent out whenever you need that backup, because everyone's saying how much they need the help. They're so short-staffed. All cities, all small towns, they're so short-staffed. And you have this less than $10 website that GoDaddy's hosting that is just this. It's a net. It's so obviously fake, but by the time they get to that point, it's like, well, they wanted to commit the crime. They were destined to commit that crime.
Absolutely correct. I have tried to reach out to several law enforcement people. I did reach out to the Department of Homeland Security. They sent me a nice little copy and paste response saying, thank you. We work with nonprofit organizations and not individuals. Like, okay, I get that. I've tried to reach out to several state attorney generals. I've tried to reach out to several internet crime investigative units, public and private, and not really getting any traction on that. I would ultimately like to team up with one of these cybercrime work groups, and perhaps in the public sector, so that we can educate people on the dangers of the internet and tell some of these stories, because the internet's not a safe place. By all accounts, you don't know who you're dealing with on the other end of that email.
As evidenced by your website. You're just you're on the good side of it.
And you're not even, really Guido.
No, I'm not really Guido.
Well, that's another interesting point. You have no problem saying and putting your face out there and your name out there. It's like you're flying in the face of all of this by saying it's fake. I'm not this guy. It's not from 1920. The HIPAA's not real.
I'm just an IT guy with a $9.20 website that has subsequently saved some lives along the way. I'm not afraid to put my information out there. Quite frankly, there's probably some pretty pissed off people out there that I've stumbled across over the years. But the fact that it has had such a positive impact and helped remove some of these bad apples, I'm completely satisfied with that. Absolutely.